Hi and welcome to this video, which is an introduction to the RCPCH ePortfolio, also known as Kaizen, and in particular this video is going to look at things to do when starting a new paediatric placement. So first of all, what is Kaizen? Kaizen is the ePortfolio system the RCPCH uses for paediatric trainees to keep track of their learning events, supervision and any reflections we do to evidence that we are meeting our training requirements. So when using Kaizen, the first thing you need to do is log in. There are two ways to do this. The first is to go directly to the Kaizen website, or the second is to log in through the RCPCH website. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those. So if you remember the website, then you can just type that in, or you can Google Kaizen ePortfolio, and it should be the first result that comes up. When you click on that, it might ask you which organization you wish to log in with. So if it does, simply choose RCPCH and then click here to log in with RCPCH. Then you should use your RCPCH number and password. Click login and then that should take you to Kaizen. The other way to do this by logging in would be to go to the RCPCH website where you can click login, and just like before, use your RCPCH number and password, click login, and then this time, once you're logged in, you have one extra step where you need to click on this quick links section and go down to ePortfolio. Great. So once you're logged in, the first thing you want to do as a new placement is add details about your placement. The RCPCH ePortfolio is designed to be trainee-led. What this means is that trainees will need to start most forms before then sending them to someone else like an assessor or a supervisor so that they can be completed. Going back to Kaizen, if we click on timeline and then click on whole timeline, it will show you all of the assessments that you've done so far. If you want to add details of your placement, you then click on Create New, and then under the section that says Training Posts and Absences, you want to click on Training Post. Here you have options to put in the start date and the end date of your placement, and you have the choice to add a description. Then the next thing you do is select whereabouts in Kent, Surrey or Sussex that your placement is. So you click on the county, click on the hospital trust, and then click on the hospital. Next, you want to select what training grade you are. Normally it will just show you the correct option and then you select that. And then you have to select which percent of whole time equivalent that you're working at. Finally, if you are subspecializing, you would select that subspecialty, or if you're just doing pediatrics, then choose pediatrics. Once you've finished filling that in, you click submit, and then your post will be recorded on your portfolio. The next thing you'll want to do is add your supervisors. You will need an educational supervisor and a clinical supervisor. These may be the same person. Your educational supervisor is responsible for overseeing that you make necessary educational and clinical progress, whilst your clinical supervisor will oversee your day-to-day work, so they should actually see you working in the clinical environment. If you're unsure who your educational supervisor and clinical supervisor are, speak to your department and they should help you find this out. It's good to arrange a start of placement and end of placement meeting right at the beginning so that you're not scrambling to organise something at the last minute, and you might want to organise a midpoint review as well so that you can see how things are going and make any changes if you need to. So to do this, again, we're on our ePortfolio, we click timeline just like before, click on whole timeline and click on create new. Once we're here, look for the section that says supervision and click add your educational and or clinical supervisors. You can put in the dates that these supervisors are supervising you for. These will most likely be the same as your placement dates. And then type in the name of your supervisor, and you should see that names will appear based on who is registered on the Kaizen system. If your educational supervisor and clinical supervisor are the same person, simply put the same name in both boxes. Once you've done this, you can click Submit. The next thing you might want to do is start off your initial supervisor meeting. So same again, we go to Timeline, Whole Timeline, and Create New. Here we go to Supervision once more and click on Supervision Report. Now, any kind of meeting with your supervisor should fit into this category. You can see you have your initial meeting, your clinical supervisor initial meeting, a midpoint review, supervisor reports for ARCP. So for whatever meeting, just select the appropriate option. Put in the date that you're meeting, and with your supervisor you can put in details about your current post, what might be expected of you, and also your professional development plan. This is really important to help guide what you hope to achieve over the course of your placement. So once you've filled that in with your supervisor, we'll click Submit, and then that will go to your supervisor to be signed. So when creating a PDP, a professional development plan, you will want to put 4 or 5 achievable things that you wish to achieve over the next 6-month period. Try to keep it simple and break things down into steps. Don't give yourself unrealistic expectations, but do try and stretch yourself so that you're trying to do things which will help progress your learning and your career. For general tips on using Kaizen, make sure you use an up-to-date web browser. Chrome generally works quite well, or if you use the newest versions of Microsoft Edge or Firefox, but if you're using Internet Explorer, it might be quite slow and it might not quite work properly. Be patient with your supervisor. They will often have to deal with several different portfolio systems, not only the paediatric one, but GP trainees, foundation trainees, so you might need to guide them around. And one final tip is that allowing Kaizen to store data on your computer, especially your home computer, may make it work quicker. Hopefully that has been a useful brief initial guide on how to get into Kaizen and how to do those initial forms for the start of your placement.